I'm playing Temur Wilderness Reclamation. Saw a little bit of Wilderness Reclamation on Tuesday. The game where I resolved it, did some stuff, made a lot of mana, cool, tapping out, and then in a turn, untapping all my lands, casting Nexus of Fate. Not quite doing Nexus of Fate stuff in this version, but we have something a little bit better, I think, in Expansion Explosion.
Yes. Probably the best card to sink a bunch of mana into in the format. It just keeps the gas flowing after you resolve it for 4 to 6, which is super easy to do with Reclamation. And you also get to copy it with a card that you've been trying to make work for how long now? How long? Do we have a calendar up somewhere?
Amulet. Primal Amulet. This is the other core engine of the deck. This 4-mana artifact from Ixalan block reduces the casting cost of all of your instant sorceries by 1, and then once you play your 4th instant sorcery, you're able to transform it into what I just like to call Pyromancer's Goggles. The backside is Primal Wellspring, taps for any color mana, which is important. And if you use that mana to cast an instant or sorcery, it forks it, creates an additional copy. The cool thing about this is that I have used it alongside Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, to untap it. And using that alongside a big expansion explosion, it lets you double it. Now, with Wilderness Reclamation, you go to your end step, float all your mana, right? Untap all your lands, float it all again, you get the triple it. And a single expansion explosion should be enough to get the job done once you transform Primal Amulet. But even if you're not doing that, you get to shock 3, or I guess you can only shock twice no matter what. But you get to Chemist's Insight 3 times if you want to. You can double up on 2 different spells. You can double Chemister and then you can double shock or whatever. Untapping lands is where I want the focus of this deck to be, whether it's Search for Ascanta, transform it into the Sunken Ruin, untapping that just to give you more velocity, finding more answers, finding more card draw, or if you're just using it to kill your opponent via Primal Wellspring, I'm all about it.
Yeah, this is definitely a Todd deck where, is it spells and then go really big over the top and finish with a huge fireball to the dome. So I kind of just hope it works because decks like these are fun.
Yeah, and, the important thing to note and to remember is that Wilderness Reclamation is literally just double your mana every turn.
Yeah,
it is your job, once you have all this mana, to use it at instant speed so you can cast things like during your end step or during your opponent's turn. Or to combine it with these really powerful lands from Ixalan, or if there's another one printed in the future that can be untapped. I think it's important that you find ways to abuse these abilities. Permanents that sit on the battlefield that have mana sinks are really important. I think maybe pairing this with something like Arguel's Bloodfast could end up being pretty good. The backside, not so good for untapping, but the front side being able to just have this big mana sink that draws cards, I think is pretty cool. So there's a lot of uses for this Wilderness Reclamation card, and the first time I saw it, I was, we were doing Versus Live last Thursday, I was just like, what the fudge, What are they doing over here? Just giving us Heartbeat of Spring, but it's only for me. Oh no, I can only cast instants? Oh no, woe is me!
Yeah. So on Tuesday, we put the Wilderness Reclamation deck against a Blue-White Flash deck, Azorius Flash, with a lot of counter spells and interaction. Didn't go so well. So we're putting you up against a deck that doesn't interact quite as well, but it is going to put you under a lot of pressure. This is a Rakdos Aggro build that I created. When Judith was spoiled, everybody looked at it and they saw the Blood Artist ability and thought, aristocrats, I'm going to sacrifice all my stuff. It'll be great. I saw the +1/+0 ability, and I thought this is just an aggro card where the secondary ability is just reach.
Yeah.
So that's where I wanted to try it. We do have some synergies here with Legion Warboss. You get to pump the tokens that Legion Warboss creates, and then the name escapes me, the 2-mana 2/2 that you sacrifice a creature on your upkeep, and if you do, you get to deal 2 damage to a player or planeswalker.
Yeah, I remember talking about this card, but we'll get to it when you draw this.
Yeah, so we have some
It's a solid 2-drop creature that allows you some flexibility, which I like. So.
Yeah, so a Rakdos deck with a lot of reach, got 4 Shock, 4 Lightning Strike, 4 Fanatical Firebrand, so we can send a lot of burn to the dome and then just powerful creatures. Got some Gutter Bones in here.
Yeah, Gutter Bones.
Yeah.
That was quite possibly my favorite named card of the set.
And then another card that I think is going a little under the radar, I have 3 copies of Hackrobat.
Sure.
This is the colors black-red, 2/3, has Spectacle for 2 mana. You can pay black to give it Death Touch, or red to give it +2/-2 until end of turn. So
flow stone ability.
Yeah. Okay. So a 2-drop that can get in there for 4, can attack into bigger creatures, survive shocks. So that's a card that I just on stats alone I think is quite good as long as you have enough 1-drops to enable it. So we're trying that one out. Got some was it not Carnival Souls, Theater of Horrors.
Yeah.
There we go.
Got a couple of those as your experimental frenzy proxy, just to see how good it is. I think it's going to be stellar if you draw it.
Yeah.
As long as I am not combo killing you, which I might be.
And then Rick's Mighty Revelers, a card that I tried in a mid-range list when we first came back on the 3rd, and you said maybe it's just meant for an aggro deck, so we're going to try it in an aggro deck. So a lot of new cards.
Cool. All right, high roll. Or no, you lost. You can go first. I guess
that's true.
I don't want you to go first. I would love to be on the play.
Well, you're not going to be on the play.
That's a T. ILT. All right.
The old T to the T. Okay. Well, I saw a bunch of swamps and red cards. I thought this hand was going to be bad, but I have a black 1-drop and a Dragon Skull Summit, so everything's fine.
All right. My hand is okay. But it might be a little too dirtily, but that's the nature of the game.
The old Diagraph Ghoul.
When they bring that one back.
Magic 2019.
So I think I just need to opt to hit land drop, so I'm going to shock and say go. I don't
You're
like
18.
dealing myself damage, but you got to do
Deck you for 2.
Yeah.
16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play a Dragon Skull Summit and a Reveler. Don't need this swamp. I said I don't need this swamp. I'm just getting IRL moto bugged.
All right. Neither of these cards matters too much in the how I kill them, as long as I kill them. They're both just 2
Yeah, they're just 2/2s.
All right, so we'll get the Reveler since that has higher upside as from the graveyard of some sort.
Okay. Well, I've got a Legion War Boss, which should apply a lot of pressure. Get the old Cedric Phillips
token.
token.
Point out, Ross said that he thought Fire Cannonade in my main deck was really bad, and I should cut it.
When did I say that?
Last week on Monday when I was driving home, and we were talking about decks for the week.
Oh, I don't remember that, but take 3 or 13.
I don't think I'm gonna have time to do any of the cool stuff.
Ross, question from It's Simon DS. Any thought to Priest of Forgotten Gods in a aristocrat style deck as a great sack outlet?
What is that thing?
It is 1 and a black.
That the
for
1/2?
a 1/2, yeah.
Yeah, that card. We talked about that card earlier in the show, and Todd and I both think it is very powerful, and is the kind of card that could elevate an aristocrat style deck to playability. So definitely going to be building
10?
around that for next week. You're at 10. Now I have a mountain and pass the turn.
Well, some burn spells are probably gonna come my way. That was pretty good. Gonna play Wilderness Reclamation.
Sure.
I'll move my instep.
Yep.
Go.
Attack you for 7. Or 3 to take you to 7.
Yeah, we'll go to 7.
This would have been much better last turn. Acrobat.
Sure.
Pass.
Alright, we'll draw 2. Untap.
Yep.
Draw.
Todd, T Drizzle wants to know, did you give any thought to Incubation Druid in your Simic hybrid Krasis deck?
Yeah, I don't think that card is like all as good as people think it is, or as good in a completely different type of deck than what I'm playing. But I gotta think about this turn. I'm gonna need a second.
Were you asking for this deck or for the Simic deck?
For the Simic deck.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna play another one of these, and I'm gonna move my instep. First one resolves. I'm gonna float 4.
Yep.
Second one resolves. I'm going to kill this and draw 4 cards.
Sure.
And I'm gonna die.
Maybe. I'm going to shock you on instep, get you to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that so in case I draw Rick's Mighty Reveler, I can attack Todd to 4 and then cast it with 2 mana up in case I draw a Lightning Strike. Or attack Todd to 2, I mean. But we just got a land here. This drew... Acrobat was the first non-land I drew this game. And we needed a burn spell. That was not a burn spell. Attack you for 3.
At 2.
Pass the turn.
All right. Draw. Primal Amulet.
Great.
We'll go ahead and cast Discovery trigger on that. We will keep that, spin this, draw this off of
Discovery.
First, untapped, so one on the stack still. Gonna float 5. Oh.
Can you transform this before you?
Yeah, I might be able to. Hold on. I actually can, I think. Hold on. Alright, so let's go.
So we've resolved one trigger. We have one trigger still in the stack.
Shock this, trigger that. Radical Idea, trigger this, draw. Pitching this, draw, float this, 3 total, second resolve, 9. So
you can only 15.
Yeah, sure. 5 here, 10
10
you, draw 10 cards.
I'm at 10.
Why not?
Okay, well, I have a Blood Crypt. So, Legion Warboss won't do it because that only makes a 1/1. Shock or Lightning Strike or Reveler into them. I don't think I have haste. Oh, the 2/2 haste. That'll also do it.
Yeah, I could have done it for like one less and just held up Shock, I guess, but I probably should do that. Hold on. I already drew too many cards. I won anyway. Haha. I have to move a discard, but it's okay.
Yeah, you discarding was not the relevant portion of that turn. Well, needed to draw one more spell. Fireblade Artist. There we go.
Just gonna go out on a limb here and say it worked. It did exactly what I wanted to do.
Ross, PerpZ ATL would like to know why not add Skewer the Critics.
That's just not a. It's not a card that you're going to add over any of the regular burn spells as a 3-mana sorcery. I think that card really only fits into a deck that is super heavy on burn spells. And then we saw a deck like that last season. It was sort of a tier 2 option. People played for a little while and then put down. But it could elevate that deck a little bit. But it's not a card that I think you're going to see as a regular staple of the format. It's a card that you definitely have to build to enable because playing it without the spectacle cost is pretty bad. So you need to be able to spectacle it very often. And as Todd noted earlier in the broadcast, the mono red decks that existed don't play the full number of Wizards Lightnings. So are they really going to be interested in a bunch of these too? Is it better than Wizards Lightning? I don't know.
I mean, you would play it in your deck over Wizards Lightning, so it's kind of just like an alternate Wizards Lightning, but I think it's very telling when the aggressive red decks that are playing Experimental Frenzy or whatever choose to play Lava Coil over, 4 of Wizards Lightning, And a lot of them, maybe they go back to playing more Wizards Lightning based on what creatures they need to kill. Maybe Crackling Drake and Enigma Drake kind of fall off. I just think that it's a solid card. I just don't think that it's like format defining. People complaining about it are absurd.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do one more question, and then we'll get to sideboarding.
What about Skewer in Modern Burn?
No, I mean we mentioned it before this match where we thought it could be pretty good. So, I mean, personally, I think it's fine. I don't know if it's better than Lava Spike necessarily, just because
you just play more ones. The deck wants more ones. What if this gets us over to Black Red Burn, where you just have bump this card, Rift Bolt, Lava Spike, Lightning Bolt. You have 20 Lightning Bolts in your deck.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, sounds great to me too. And then you just play your 12 creatures, and then your 4 Searing Blazes, and your 4 whatever 2 damage. Like, I'm not even sure I'd play Skullcrack. I'd probably play the sorcery that makes him lose their life, and you gain 3. Then you have 8 cards that get you through a Worship too. Between bump and that, Worship's not even good.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, we are going to take a short break here while we prepare for sideboarding. Shouldn't take too long. We'll be right back.
And we are back with sideboarding for Rakdos Aggro against Temur Reclamation. Pretty straightforward on my side. The shocks are very weak. We get to bring in some drill bits to get good disruption. And then I'm cutting Theater of Horrors because this is not a matchup where I want to go to the long game at all. If we go to the long game, Todd's going to set up his synergies and just blow me out with a gigantic expansion or a copied expansion. we're bringing a couple of Bedevils. This is a card that can kill Primal Amulet, but can also kill whatever big creature usually exists in the sideboard of these decks that they bring in. So to be prepared for, like I would not be surprised if Niv Mizzets come in if I'm playing against him. Todd does have Murmuring Mystics. He has chosen not to bring them in, but it's a card that you should probably be prepared for. So Theater of Horrors become Bedevil. We don't want too many of them, so I'm not bringing in the third of my sideboard. And then Shocks become Drill Bits.
All right, we don't have a ton of time to dirtle in this matchup. This is the other card I was thinking about siding in. The Mystics over the Discoveries. We're playing Discovery, even though it's not an instant, because it helps me transform Sorcerer's Canto very quickly. And the backside of it works really well with Primal Amulet in that you can tap it for black mana, and then cast Dispersal double time and get rid of their two most expensive permanents for that one turn of reprieve. I do think that Mystic is going to just be generically good. If I played on the fourth turn and still have over 10 life, not only will should be able to block and survive, but also maybe soak a lightning strike if he decides to target this instead of me. And if I ever get to untap with it, his creature is basically getting validated for the rest of the game. So that's I think I am going to make this swap, and I do think this is the worst cantrip, being sorcery speed, and because we're taking out the searches, they're just a little too slow. We're going to hope to kind of use our early turns to like opt into land drops, use our removal spell to kill things, and then hit our either Amulet on 4 or Reclamation on 4, and then work from there.
Okay.
Question for Ross from Jatch. Does Pestilent Spirit have a place in these Rakdos Aggro decks or somewhere else perhaps?
I could see it more as a sideboard card against like big creature decks. If those exist. It's not a great main deck card because it's a pretty vulnerable body, and most of the time, like you're playing the removal spells you want in the main because they already kill the creatures you need them to kill. So it seems to me more like a card that you're going to side in to make an adjustment when your removal doesn't line up that well against your opponents, and that's an easy way to make that adjustment as opposed to like siding a bunch of new removal spells in. You can slide in 2 or 3 of those. It would be really good against a deck like Todd's Simic deck that we're going to see later, that doesn't have a lot of removal for the spirit itself, but tries to go over the top with these huge creatures, and suddenly he's losing his Hydro Krasis to a shock.
Yes. I think that card definitely has potential. I mean, it's hard to identify like just how good it is. Like back when Soulfire Grandmaster was in Standard, like it was pretty easy to pair that with Roast, and it's like this plus Roast equals kill something, gain 5 life. Like that's a pretty big deal. This is my burn spells aren't big enough to kill your creatures, but now they are. So we have to figure out like fork bolt type effects and how good they are with it and things like that. And it's a little bit different because it's not straightforward. It's also a little more expensive.
And it has a lower floor. So like now if you don't draw the Pestilent Spirit and you have all these red burn spells that don't match up well against your opponent's creatures, you're really far behind. But if you have them, they're really good. Whereas if you had Roast without Soulfire, you still just killed their thing. Right. And Soulfire was like good even if you didn't care as much about the lifelink, because at the end, as the game went long, it had that ability. So doesn't the metaphor or the comparison drops off a little bit, but
I think that card might end up being better in like Commander or something, where you start pairing it with stuff like one-sided deal 1 to everything, or Bonfire, like cards that can hit a lot of creatures for not a lot of mana.
You follow that up with a Bonfire for 1. Yeah. You're in good shape. The old 3-mana Plague Wind.
Your hand is good, I assume?
Yep.
All right. I had a Mountain as my only lands.
That's no bueno.
All right, Todd, for you, Mr. Tryhard is asking, why no Growth Spiral in your deck?
So I was afraid of not having green mana on turn 2, mostly. And it was that was the only real concern, honestly. I think the card fits kind of perfectly into the strat. We could build our spell base differently in order to accommodate it, and I think it would be great. Like if I just went turn 2 Growth Spiral here into turn 3 Prominent Amulet or Wilderness Reclamation, is perfect. Like it's really good, you know. But I was honestly just afraid of not having green on 2, and I think it's something that will just end up working into the deck once we establish how easy it is to hit our green on 2. So I'm at 18. Coil took care of the Acrobat.
So Ross H. Moonlight
Please
was
don't
wondering
fire candidate me.
why
14.
Or did you consider Spawn
Pass.
of Mayhem over Acrobat?
So Acrobat just fits on the 2 slot of the curve, which is what I wanted. It's a trigger on my upkeep. I do have some spawns in the sideboard, which I think are pretty good. Like if where the 4/4 body matches up well, but I don't think Hackerbat and Spawn of Mayhem are competing in the same spot because they occupy different points in the curve. So beginning my upkeep.
Assuming you're not going to sacrifice.
Any responses?
Would you like? No, feel free to sacrifice one of your creatures. That's fine.
No. Attack you for 6.
All right. Shock. Copy. Kill this. I'll take 2. I'm at 12.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of Expansion Explosion. Not only is our win condition, but in that spot, it was just a 2-mana shock, and that was insane. All right. I'm going to lead with Murmur Mystic here. Say go.
Sure. Instead, Bedevil it.
It's dead.
Attack for 2. Pass.
I'm going to play this one.
Yep.
Your turn. Yeah, no second Bedevil.
Attack for 2.
All right, I'm at 8.
Once again, I think this Hackerbat's a turn late.
Yeah, it might be good, though. I have a radical idea, but we'll see how good it is.
Radical as the last card is pretty good. Thing is, he's going to have to transform this and then draw into something good to use with it. That's also really good.
I guess we could just hold the Stomping Ground for the radical idea because I don't mind the other 2 cards. Go. You have how many cards?
2.
Okay.
Firebrand.
Mm-hmm.
Attack for 5.
Yep.
You're 3.
No. 4 damage.
Oh.
Cast Fire Cannon. This actually it doesn't kill that. That's a stupid
Yeah,
pirate.
this is a pirate. Yeah.
But I don't think I can go to 3. This also, like, he's basically playing around shock, but casting this means that he can't activate this, so I'm still only taking 3 down to 5.
Yeah. So you go to 5. Pass turn.
Alright, draw for turn. Alright, I don't like either of these in my hand, so green mana is not super relevant. We'll cast Radical Idea. Transform this.
Very card.
Alright, we're going to play Wilderness Reclamation, tap Steam Vents, instep trigger this, float this, untap these.
Chemisters 3 times.
Chemisters 3 times. I'm going to draw 6. Go.
Yeah. That's a thing that should be allowed.
Is that good?
Seems kind of good.
All right.
Attack.
Now I'm curious what to do. I'm going to just take it, I think.
Go to 2.
Yeah, I'm probably going to die, though.
Play Diregraph Ghoul.
Yep.
Pass turn.
Okay. I think I'm just going to try to kill you. Hope you don't have a burn spell. I don't have counter spells in my deck. Dead?
Yep.
Screw you. I could have played Shock plus Copy It to kill this. Went to 4, but then I would have just had nothing. So, because I have nothing left in the graveyard for it.
Yeah.
So I think I just have to hope that you don't have it. But he's just like, if I ever don't, like, I could just cast one of these and not both, right? And then go to instep, put this on the stack, and then at any time where I tap out for my big explosion,
yeah,
he just kills me with lightning strike. So.
And the issue with going to nothing there just to play around lightning strike is that this Firebrand's bringing Todd to 4, and so he has to find something literally on his next turn. And if he doesn't do that, which you didn't, like, you die to the lightning strike anyway the following turn.
Yeah.
So, and I have the Diregraph Ghoul coming down, so like you have to find. So I like the play of just hoping, and then on my side, like if you're playing against this deck and you're not really sure what's going on with what they're doing, and they have a bunch of mana up, there's no point in just playing the burn spell. Like you just pass, and like they'll tap out at some point to deal with your stuff, and then you go for it. That's what I do.
So Todd, Chad is wondering what the rest of your shirt looks like.
It just says Tina and it says butts. But it's Tina
That's all
from...
they can see is the
Oh,
butts.
they can only see butts. It's Tina from Bob's Burgers. She is obsessed with butts. It's a good shirt. I love this shirt. All right, so we get to be on the play, which is a pretty darn big deal. I don't think I want to make any changes. Just hope that we have enough time to set up. On the play, I think we should be okay. But we'll see. Well,
Triple Reclamation looked pretty good, though, even though he died.
Yeah, he was dead. If he didn't have a burn spell, he was 100% dead. I got 3 total Primal Amulet trigger or Primal Wellspring triggers and explosion for 20.
For 20? Because you have 8 lands, they untap 3 times.
24. Yeah, it would have been exactly 20.
Would have been, well, yeah. So each one, you would have had 3 lethal explosions.
No, it would have been.
Because oh, yeah, you're casting it for 20, and you got 3 copies.
I'm not casting it for 20. Am I? Wait.
Yeah, you had 8 lands.
I am counting.
You hard cast your Reclamation
I'm doing you 60.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing you way less.
you're playing a commander game, you get to kill 3. I guess they're 40 life, but.
Okay. That's different. I thought I was only doing you 20. I was doing you 60.
Yeah.
I think it's dope. All right, I'm keeping my hand.
Yeah, I will do the same.
All right, your turn.
Against like a controlling deck, I would say this combo of Rick's Mighty Reveler, Gutter Bones is cool. You get to like discard the Gutter Bones and return it.
Yeah. Do that.
But this is not a matchup where I can.
You better play that damn Gutter Bones and start attacking.
Where I can afford to putz around like that. So we'll just play the 2-1.
All right, your turn. All right, so far we have had green on turn 2 every time. That has been pretty sweet.
Thank you,
Growth Spiral is looking sweeter and sweeter.
Rick's Mighty, discard a swamp.
All right, we're gonna Radical Idea. Just digging for some interaction at this point.
I just want to keep a hand and then draw a non-land card.
That seems like too much to ask.
Apparently.
Shock this. Your turn.
Just not allowed.
Also, Ross, Brian C15 says you signed his Arclight Phoenix at the Columbus Open. He just wanted to give you a shout out, say you're super chill to play against, even though you steamrolled him. And he also asked, how many Arclight Phoenixes do you ask to people to ask you to sign now?
I don't think I had signed any before last weekend, but maybe I'm wrong. Because I'm trying to. The only thing I played after Baltimore was the Invitational. I don't really think I signed much there. But last weekend, I think I signed around 10 Phoenixes. I think I signed 2 playsets and then 2 singletons. So we're moving on up. I'm thinking about what I want to do with this Fanatical Firebrand because I guess the Firebrand doesn't die to a sweeper, so I don't have to worry. So let's just play it and attack. 15. That's a pirate. So you go to 15 past turn. Is that my? Yeah, this is my turn 3. Yep.
Go.
And a turn, I will lightning strike you.
12.
Attack for 3.
At 9.
Pass the turn.
Chemisters, draw 2.
Yep.
Tap. Draw for turn.
I was the sigh of an oppressed creature.
I mean, if each has Bedevil, that's bad for me. But I mean, I'm fine otherwise. But Bedevil kills Mystic and Primal Amulet, so that's the problem. Primal Amulet, I think, has the highest upside, but Mystic can protect me better. All right, Mystic.
Yep.
Moved in, step.
Yep.
This. I'm going to float a blue. And then I'm going to cast Radical Idea, get a burb.
Yep.
Okay.
Ross is no longer Dredge Guy. He has evolved into Phoenix Man. I'm gonna scare him before 6.
That is a pretty good draw here. Judith the Scourge Diva.
That's a yikes fan.
Attack you with Gutter Bones.
Wow.
Deal 1 to you.
Yeah,
You go to 8. Return Gutter Bones.
Yeah, goes to your hand, which is nice
Yep.
for me. All right, Chemisters, draw 2, make a burb. Untap. Wow, you are so dead. I just drew the nuts. Holy crap. Unless you burn me out next turn. Let's go, let's go Primal Amulet. Lava Coil this.
In response,
To me?
I'll to you.
Wait a minute.
6.
6. Get a counter on the amulets. Attack for 2.
I'm at 18.
Let's go ahead and shock you. Using my mana.
I'm at
efficiently.
16.
Then untap these. 1 second.
That's pretty good. Now he's got the chemisters there. He's got 2 chemisters.
So I have 2 more birds.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go. I guess. Am I dead? The juxtaposition of turns.
Powerful magic.
Oh, is this 1? You have 2? All right, he's gonna kill me though. It's funny. I'm just gonna draw 4 cards. Yeah, that's.
I drew the lightning strike.
I just don't have counterspells in my deck. There's no
Yeah.
reason for me to hold stuff up.
The juxtaposition of turns, indeed. Yeah, so I sacked the Firebrand because my only way to win that game is to rip the 3rd strike, and you know I did that. So, told you my deck had a lot of reach. Only needed seven spells.
Second in the game, Todd. First in our hearts.
Dude, I just want to point out, I had roughly 5 turns to kill him or whatever every game. 6 turns max, like if you had a mediocre draw. And I
Yeah.
was doing it. We were doing it. I didn't gain a single point of life. I want to point that out. There's probably some like green, like 1 green, gain 8 life or some crap that exists.
You can just play Gift of Paradise too.
Yeah, but that's an enchantment. God, I'm so mad at you.
What do you want from me? I drew 1,000,000 lands every game. I'm playing more lands than you might think given the deck's curve. I have 22 actually, because I think this deck is quite good at using extra mana. We've got Gutter Bones, Rixmati, Reveler, and the enchantment. What's his face? Theater of Horrors.
Yeah.
So a lot of ways to use excess mana there, and Hackerbats. So I thought a higher land count would work out, but maybe there's 1 or 2 too many.
I mean, I think with Reveler, I'm actually incentivized the other way. Like, I think you want fewer lands. Maybe, though. Maybe not.
No,
Viper now wants to see this match with Ross on 0 cards.
I'm going to get steamrolled.
My deck is consistent.
I'm just going to play
All 3 games.
I'm just going to play 5 land drops and die because we know the top of my deck is always all lands.
It's always lands, except... No, I'm going to win at 17 because 1's a lightning strike.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this Temur deck real quick because this was a huge emphasis of my article. I think this is probably the best version of the Wilderness Reclamation that I've put together so far. All right, so original list that I had changed had main deck Cannonade, which I think might be important just for buying you enough time. My current list only has 6 spot removal spells in the main deck, which I don't think is enough. I don't know if I want to be lightning striking so I can be not only instant speed, but I can also use it as like function. If I have multiple, I can just kill you with lightning strike. I don't even need expansion explosion.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of cool.
So there's this idea that when you're testing a deck like this, especially this sort of engine deck, you need to build the deck initially where you just build to the engine as much as possible and then see where the holes are. And it looks like maybe you need a little bit more against aggressive decks, maybe some counter spells on the sideboard to protect your threats, especially against control decks. And when you build the deck to be more solitary in the beginning, that's when you figure out where the holes are, rather than try to fix them from theory or fill those holes from theory before playing games. And so now we see, like, I mean, I felt like my draws were subpar both games, but I had like just enough reach.
But your starts were like pretty good.
Yes, my opening 3 turns of every game was very good.
It was usually either turn 4 or turn 5 you would do not very much, if anything. But I think that's more of like a deck building error than anything. Like, you don't have an experimental frenzy. You don't have that thing that if I'm able to catch up on. I mean, you probably have in the sideboard. You have Theater of Horrors, yeah, but you only have like 2, right?
I have 2 main, 2 board.
Right.
But I boarded them out in this matchup.
What I'm saying is, like, there's a reason why the mono red decks in Standard have all moved to 4 main deck frenzy and away from like the Flame of Kelds and the risk factors and all that stuff. And it's because when your opponent chooses to interact with you on turns 3 or 4, depending on whether you're on the play or the draw, your best follow-up, no matter what, once they interact with you, is an experimental frenzy, and it buries them. If they don't kill immediately, they're going to be ruined.
You know, card is good with Flame of Keld.
Yeah, Judas Scourge Eva is good with Flame of Keld. Maybe you should think about building a version of your deck, but with Flame of Keld. And maybe heavier red instead of heavier black. Gutter Bones look like garbage, you know? Not garbage. It was mopey, but that's fine.
Like, 1-2-1 does some stuff. I think if you play this deck against a control deck, then you see what the Revelers and the Gutter Bones thing and those synergies do.
No, you're right.
It's just a matter of like which matchups you get to see. Like, this is a matchup where I'm in straight race mode. I just want to have where mono red with Gitu Lava Runner and Burn Spells and Fusion of Pyromancer would probably be better. But if you look at a matchup where we're interacting, then you know then these cards are going to be really good. And so it's a good sign to see that I've built the deck more in line to beat interactive decks, and I'm still, despite drawing 7 lands every game, beating a non-interactive deck.
Sure. You gotta keep bringing that up, right? All right, I'll drew 7 lands every game.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's how you evaluate how the games go.
Come on, buddy. Nah, turns out I'm going to have to beat Ross with my Bant version at some point, where I'm going to be playing 4 copies of Revitalize. Maybe Gift of Paradise.
Copy that one 3 times.
Yeah.
We're dead.
Yeah. Well, we can only copy it twice. You can't overpay. Yeah. But yeah, we can copy it quite a few times. I'm excited to explore with Wilderness Reclamation, because the card is literally just this giant mana engine, and we already know that it works with Search for Scanta very well. And it clearly works with Primal Amulet really well. It's just whether or not the investment of 4 mana plus all this trying to transform it is worth it. But it felt so easy to transform every single game that it almost felt like I don't know. It did not feel hard at all.
Yeah,
that's what
I agree. That deck looked impressive. There's something there. The fact that Splendid Reclamation is a mana engine on its own, or again, Wilderness.
Yeah,
keep saying Splendid.
I
is a mana engine by itself. It does not need any help. You just cast it, and suddenly you have 1,000,000 mana.
Yeah,
like that simplicity and ease of execution is so rare for a mana engine. Most of the time you have to work hard for things like that.
Or it helps your opponent too.
Or it's symmetric, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's when I first saw the card, I was just so drawn to it, and now after playing Tuesday's version and today's version. Tuesday I got beat by a deck with Spell Pierce. I'm gonna lose to a deck with Spell Pierce with this every time. That's fine. Don't care. Chalk that up to getting sent to Brownington. That's Browntown for you you Americans.
Brownington Station, Browntown, USA. Or Browntown, UK.
This Temur version I thought would be a little more competitive. Facing off against various aggressive decks. Not enough removal, I don't think. Though, if I pilot this against your Gruul deck, I think I'd whoop you. So we may actually have an extra game at the end. We'll do Gruul versus this deck, just because I just want to play more games with it.
We'll see if we have time.
I didn't have enough time. Yeah. I just want more time. Give me your discard spells. I'll get you. Eventually, you're gonna run out of something. I'm gonna get you.
Okay. Well, to facilitate Todd being able to play his deck more, we are going to move on to the third match quickly here. That means we got to take a 10-minute break right now. But our last match is going to be an update on Todd's Simic deck from Tuesday. So if you like that one, you're going to want to stay tuned. And I'm going to be playing a Grixis control deck, or Grixis midrange deck, really. It's Grixis Dragons.
It is Grixis Dragons. Do you have Dragon Sword?
No, we just got Sarkins. We got Skargan Dargans.
Skargan Dargans.
We got some. So that's Skargan Hellgate.
Yes.
From the new set. We've got some Nicol Boluses and some Niv Mizzets, some removal spells. So
Sounds great.
some more resistance for you to work through than you did on Tuesday. So come back in 10 minutes and check us out.